Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपीकांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदानेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। वो श्री राधे गोविंद भगवान की
जय
जय।
वो श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय।
हरे कृष्णा
everyone.
अनिल जी, हरे कृष्णा तरुण,
हरे कृष्ण गजेंद्र।
कृष्णा जय,
हरे कृष्णा।
एक बार बोलने से कितनी बार आ जाए हरे कृष्णा।
कृष्णा की महिमा है।
हाँ हरे कृष्णा मयूर,
Hare Krishna everyone.
हरे कृष्णा। Is that the echo from my side or कहाँ से आ रहा है?
No, I think it was because of me,
अच्छा अच्छा,
but it shouldn't be there now.
ऐसा नहीं आ रहा अभी। हेलो सचिन,
हेलो हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा, so nice, right मयूर, thanks for joining in। सब ठीक चल रहा है?
सब ठीक है, thank you.
Nice, yeah. So as we know, we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it's also known as Bhagavad Puran, yeah, and it's like the 18th Puran, which is a compilation of all the Vedas and Purans in one. Like if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, basically we are getting all the knowledge of Vedas and Purans in one. Yeah, that's the creation of. किसने लिखा है श्रीमद् भागवतम? किसकी रचना है?
वेद व्यास जी की।
वेद व्यास जी की, yeah. So वेद व्यास जी ने ये रचना करी है. And as we know, there are 12 cantos, 12 स्कंध है इसमें. And we know how many shloks are there, right? कितने श्लोक्स हैं इसमें? 18,000 श्लोक्स, yeah. And there are 332 chapters. और हम लोगों ने we completed canto 1, canto 2, canto 3, and in just 3 cantos we have read so much. I mean, this is kind of like just the beginning, but we read so much in just the 3 cantos, including the Mahavishnu avatar, right? Like the Virat Swarup and the cosmic manifestation of how the Karnodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu, and then how the whole universe has been created, how many planets are there, how many yugas are there, right? And how long are the yugas, how long is Brahmaji's age, so on and so forth. And even from bhakti perspective, we did all the stutis of Lord Shri Krishna, right? Like we did Bhishma stuti, Kunti Mata stuti, and in Dwarika, all the people doing the stuti of Lord Shri Krishna. And just recently we read Lord Vishnu's stuti by, like prayers by Prajapati Daksh and all the Devatas, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, who gathered at the Brihspati Akshada Yajna at Prajapati Daksh's place. Yeah. So we read that. And so now that was in the creation 4, canto 4. In canto 4, we are also reading about we read about the daughters of Manu, right? And which Manu are we talking about here?
Swayambhuva.
Shambhu Manu, yeah, and Shambhu Manu is none other than son of Lord Brahma, yeah. And then we read about the three daughters of Shambhu Manu, and who are the three daughters?
Devahuti, Prasuti, and there's one more.
And Ahuti, yeah. So we read about Devahuti, who herself had 9 daughters and who all got married to rishis. And then we read about Kapil Muni, son of Mother Devahuti and Karda Muni, right? And then we were reading about Prasuti's daughter Sati, yeah. And then we read about Prajapati Daksh, and then what happened between Sati, Prajapati Daksh, and Lord Shiva, and then how, again the sacrifice was performed by Prajapati Daksh in chapter 7. And then after that, now we are starting chapter 8, which is Dhruv Maharaj leaves home for the forest. Yeah. So now we are going to read about story of Dhruv Maharaj. Yeah. So let's start. Anilji.
Yeah. Maitreya Uvacha Sanakadya Naradasya Tribhurhanso Runirati Naite Grahan Brahmasutta Yavasannu Dharitsaha. The great sage Maitreya said, the 4 great Kumar sages headed by Sanak, as well as Narad, Ribhu, Hans, Aruni, and Yati, all sons of Brahma, did not live at home, but became Urdhava Reta or Naistika Brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So the all sons of Brahmajis, the 4 great Kumars headed by Sanak. And do you remember the name of all the 4 Sanat Kumars? Sanat Kumars. Yeah. So it's Sanak, Sananand, Sanatan, right? And Sanak, and then Sanat Kumar. Yeah. So 4 sages who are Lord Brahmaji's son, and the Narad Muni, right? And it says Ribhu and Hanso. Aruni and Yati, they were all sons of Brahmaji, but they did not live at home. Means they took the Brahmashaya, like Brahma Sutta, like they became Brahmacharis, essentially. And even there is a story of Sanat Kumar with Lord Brahma, who became angry because Sanat Kumar really wanted the universe to expand with Sanat Kumars, but they were so self-realized that they didn't want to even grow, and they just wanted to be Brahmacharis. So basically, that's what Maitreya Muni is telling Mahatma Vidur about Lord Brahmaji's sons. Then let's read the next. Ajay.
Mishra Dharmasya Bhayar Siddhavim Mayam Cha Shatruhana Asut Mithunam Tantu Nirit Trije Grihe Praja. Another son of Lord Brahma was Irreligion, whose wife's name was Falsity. From their combination were born 2 demons named Dambha or bluffing and Maya or cheating. These 2 demons were taken by a demon named Niriti, who had no children. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so even the Rishimuni were sons of Lord Brahma, but Lord Brahma's sons were also, like some of them, on the demon side, right? Like another one was Adharma, and then whose wife's name was Falsity, Sid, and then Dambha and Maya were the 2 sons from them, and then they were taken by Niriti, yeah, who was another who had no children, another demon. So Maitreya Muni is telling Mahatma Vidur about Lord Brahmaji's different sons. Yeah. Tarun?
Tayos Sama Bhavala Lobo Nikriti Dishya Mahamate Tambhyam Krodhaksha Hinsacha Yadhuruksati tiha swaswa kaliha. Maitreya told Vidura, "O great soul, from Damba and Maya were born greed and Nikriti, or cunning. From their combination came children named Krodha, anger, and Himsa, envy. And from their combination were born Kali and his sister Durukti, harsh speech." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so see how the names are also have come from where, right? Like in the last few chapters, we also read like how all the Rishi Munis and then how our Kul name, right, is based on those Rishis, right? Like, and then similarly, you see like the name from Adharm, and then you have Damba and Maya, right? And then their son were like Lob, yeah, and Nikriti is like cunning, like here Nikriti. And then they had a son who is Krodh and Himsa, yeah, and they had two daughters, Kali and Durukti. Mayur?
Durukto Kalirathatya Bhavyam Mritya Cha Satam Tayoksha Mithunam Jayesh Yatna Nirvastatha. O greatest of all good men, by the combination of Kali and harsh speech, were born children named Mrityu, death, and Bhiti, fear. From the combination came children named Yatna, excessive pain, and Niraya, hell. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so see how the different names have come together. Yeah. Sachin?
संग्रहेण मया ख्यातः प्रतिसर्गस्तव तवाङ्घं त्रिः श्रुत्वैत तत्पुमान् पुण्यं विधुनोत्यात्मनो मलम्. My dear Vidur, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation. One who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So even Maitreya Muni is telling Mahatma Vidur is that one who hears this description, like what we just read about all different hierarchical sons of Lord Brahma, right? Like different in the demon Kul, 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul. Says here, punya 3 hai, is 3 times, sutvet puman punyam vidhuno atyatmano malam. Yeah, so washes away the sinful contamination. अथातः कीर्तये वंशं पुण्यकीर्तेः कुरुत्वः Shambhuvasyapi mano harishansa janmanah. Maitreya continued, O based of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe to you the descendants of Shambhu Manu, who was born of a part of a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So, and we have been reading about Shambhu Manu earlier also, right? About their daughters. So let's read a good purport here. Tarun.
Lord Brahma is a powerful expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Brahma is Jiva Tattva, he is empowered by the Lord, and therefore he is considered a plenary expansion of the Supreme Godhead. Sometimes it happens that when there is no suitable living being to be empowered to act as Brahma, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Brahma. Brahma is a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Shambhuva Manu was a direct son of Brahma. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so I think an interesting thing mentioned here is, so Lord Brahma is a plenary expansion of the Supreme Lord Godhead, right? It's called like Gunavatar of Lord Vishnu himself, Gunavatar. But it says that sometimes it happens that when there is no suitable living being, right? Like no one has done the karmas to the extent where he can be elected as Lord Brahma, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Brahma. Yeah. So which is very interesting. So again, like Lord Brahma is in this material universe at the topmost planet, right? In the Satyalok. And someone with the highest karmas becomes Lord Brahma. And what happens, like we know Brahmaji's age, right? Do you remember the age of Lord Brahma? What is the expected age of Lord Brahma?
Some 300 trillion years.
Right, yeah. So some 300 plus trillion years, right? And we know also, of course, one day of Lord Brahma is
4 billion.
Yeah, is 4 billion plus, right? So in one day of Lord Brahma, 4.2 billion, right? And then, so what happens is after that age, there is a big pralay. So there's a pralay like every small pralay, like every time there's a new Manu, and then after one day, there's a one night, which is a pralay night, actually, right? But then there's a Maha pralay at the end of Lord Brahma, and there's a new Brahma takes place, right? But then anyway, so what we are reading right now is the Shwambhu Manu was the direct son of Brahma. And then let's just read this, Mayur.
The great sage Maitreya is now going to explain about the descendants of this Manu, all of whom are widely celebrated for their pious activities. Before speaking of these pious descendants, Maitreya has already described the descendants of impious activities, representing anger, envy, unpalatable speech, quarrel, fear, and death. Purposely, therefore, he is next relating the history of the life of Dhruva Maharaj, the most pious king within this universe. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So now we are, of course, getting to Dhruv Maharaj. Anilji?
जी प्रियव्रतोत्थान पादौ शतरूपा पतेः सुतौ वासुदेवस्य कया रक्षायां जगतः स्थितौ. Swambhuva Manu had two sons by his wife, Satarupa, and the names of the sons were Uttanpad and Priyabrata. Because both of them were descendants of a plenary expansion of Vasudeva, Supreme Personality of Godhead, they were very competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So Shwambhu Manu, and as we know, wife's name was Shatrupa, and we already know she had 3 daughters. We read about them, and then had 2 sons, right? If you remember, right? And then one is Priyavat, and the second is Uttanpad. Yeah. So Uttanpada and Priyavat were the 2 sons. And those 2 sons were actually descendants of plenary expansion of Vasudeva himself. Yeah. And so it is said that these 2 kings, Uttanpad and Priyavat, were specifically empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unlike the great king Rishabh, who was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Yeah, so we'll also read about the Rishabh Maharaj. Ajay?
Jai Uttan Padasya Suniti Suruchisteo Suruchi Preyasi Pantyunetra Yasutso Dhruva. King Uttanpad has 2 queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So I think a lot of us know the story of Maharaj Dhruv, right? And Dhruv's father was King Uttanpad, and Uttanpad was son of, whose son was Uttanpad? Yeah, we just read in the previous shlok, right? Shwambhu Manu, right? Had 2 sons, Priyavat and Uttanpada. Yeah. So, and Uttanpad then had 2 queens, Suniti and Suruchi. Yeah. And then Suruchi was, of course, more dear to the king, and Suniti had a son Dhruv, but Suniti was not king's favorite. So nice purpose. So let's read this, Sachin.
The great sage Maitreya wanted to describe the pious activities of the kings. Priyavrata was the first son of Swayambhu Manu and Uttanapada was the second. But the great sage Maitreya immediately began to speak of Dhruva Maharaj, the son of Uttanapada, because Maitreya was very eager to describe pious activities. The incidents in the life of Dhruva Maharaj are very attractive for devotees. From his pious actions, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. The example of Dhruva Maharaja's austerities can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of hearers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So from Dhruv Maharaj, what one can learn is one can enhance devotional service by severe austerity and penances. And actually, hearing the activity of P.S. Dhruv, what is being mentioned is one can get elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. And what is the greatest thing to achieve in human life, or what is the most purest thing in human life, right? Is to get to the transcendental platform of devotional service. That's the birth of human being. I mean, yeah. Ajay?
एकदा सुरुचेः पुत्रमङ्कमारोप्यत लालयन् उत्तमं नारुक्षन्त ध्रुवं राजाभ्यनन्दनत्. Once upon a time, King Uttanpad was patting the son of Suruchi, Uttam, placing him on his lap. Dhruv Maharaj was also trying to get on king's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Uttam was son of Suruchi, Dhruv Maharaj was son of Suniti. Yeah. Sachin?
तथा चिकीर्षमाणं तं सपत्न्या स्तनयं ध्रुवं सुरुचिः शृण्वतो राज्ञः सेर्ष्य महति गर्विता. While the child Dhruva Maharaj was trying to get on the lap of his father, Suruchi, his stepmother, became very envious of the child, and with great pride she began to speak so as to be heard by the king himself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So as we know, Suruchi was stepmother of Maharaj Dhruv, right? Tarun?
Na vatse na pratar dishyanam bhavanaro gudam arhati na gruhito maya yatsva kushavapi nripratam manjah. Queen Suruchi told Dhruva Maharaj, "My dear child, you do not deserve to sit on the throne or on the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you did not take your birth from my womb, you are not qualified to sit on your father's lap." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So as we know, Suruchi was the wife of Uttanpad Maharaj, right? She was more dear to Uttanpad Maharaj than Suniti, and Dhruv was son of Suniti, right? So Suruchi, being a stepmother, is telling Dhruv Maharaj that you are not qualified to sit on your father's lap. Yeah. Mayur? Mayur, you are there?
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry, there's a lag here.
Oh.
Balo Sibata Natma Anya Stri Garbha sambratam Unvam Veda Bhavam Yaya Durlabhe Manurata. My dear child, you are unaware that you were born not of my womb but of another woman. Therefore, you should know that your attempt is doomed to failure. You are trying to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And what desire Dhruv Maharaj is trying to fulfill? What is Dhruv Maharaj trying?
On his father's lap.
Right. Yeah, he wants to be in the father's lap, right? He also wants to be loved by his father. But Uttam is already sitting on his father's lap, who is Suruchi's son, right? And Suruchi, of course, doesn't want Dhruv Maharaj to be on his lap. Yeah. Anilji?
साराध्य पुरुषम तस्यैवानुग्रहेण में गर्भे त्वं साधयात्मानं यदीच्छसि नृपासनम्. If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. And then, when you are favored by him because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so what Suruchi tells Dhruv Maharaj is that first tap saradhya purusham, right? So you have to undergo austerities for satisfying Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. Yeah. And then you have to take birth from my womb, then only you'll get to sit on the king's lap. Yeah. Sachin?
मैत्रेय उवाच मातुः सपत्न्याः स दुरुक्ति विद्धि श्वसन रुषा दण्डहतो यथा हि हित्वा मिषन्तं पितरं सन्नवाचं जगाम मातुः प्ररुदन सकाशम. The sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidur, as a snake, when struck by a stick, breathes very heavily, Dhruva Maharaj, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent and did not protest, he immediately left the palace and went to his mother. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So then Dhruv Maharaj went back to his mother. Yeah. Tanisha Shantam Isfuritadharostam Suniti Rut Sangha Uduham Balam Nisamya Tatpura Mukhani Tantam Savivyate Yataditam Sapanya. When Dhruv Maharaj reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger, and he was crying very grievously. Queen Suniti immediately lifted her son onto her lap, while the palace residents who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi related everything in detail, that Suniti also became greatly aggrieved. So Suniti also then became quite angry. Yeah? Ajay?
Sutisrija Dhairya Vilalap Shok Davagnana Davalavet Daval Tev Bala Vakyam Sapanya Smriti Saroj Shriya Disha Bashna Kala Muvaha. The incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience. She began to burn as if in a forest fire, and in her grief she became just like burnt leaf and so lamented. As she remembered the words of her co-wife, her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So then Suniti is speaking to Dhruv Maharaj. Yeah. Anilji?
जी. दीर्घं श्रवसन्ति ब्रजिनस्य पार मप्स्यति बालकमाहबाला मामङ्गलं तात परेषु मंसता भुङ्क्ते जानो यत् पर दुःखदस्तत्. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pains upon others suffers himself from the pain." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So she tells Dhruv Maharaj still that don't wish anything inauspicious for anyone else. Anyone who inflicts pains upon others suffers himself from that pain. He says, Bhukte jano yat par dukha dastat. Mayur?
Looking for me, Gajan?
Yeah, Tarun, can you speak? I think.
Satyam Suruchya bhihitam bhavanmay yudhya bragaya udare grahitaha stet stanayena vradacha vilachate yaham bhayatri va vodyodmi dasyapati marmaha. Sunri said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so, because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maid servant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Mayur, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, okay.
Atishta tatat. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Atishta tatat vimatsastam uktam samatrapi yada vyalikam aradhya yagoksha japadamam yadichasya dhyasanam uttamo yatha. My dear boy, spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother, Uttam, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So what Mother Suniti is telling Maharaj Dhruv is, without further delay, you must engage in yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. It says, Arad, yeah, Adokshakja, Pad Padhyam. Yeah. Lotus feet, lotus Padam, Pad is feet. Adokshas is the Lord Vishnu, Aradhya. So Lord Narayan's worship, you must engage, is what Mother is telling, right? So it says the harsh words used by Suruchi to her stepson were true, because unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Man proposes, God disposes. Suniti, the mother of Dhruv Maharaj, agreed with her co-wife's advice that Dhruv engage himself in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, the words of Suruchi were a benediction for Dhruv Maharaj. For because of the influence of his stepmother's words, he became a great devotee. Yeah? So what is being mentioned is sometimes those events happen which materialistically we may not like, but then those become like the benediction. So similarly for Dhruv Maharaj, of Mother Suruchi's words became a benediction because he became a great devotee, which is the highest perfection in human life. Yeah. Anilji?
Yeah. Yes. Angri Padmam Paricharya Vishwa Vivavanayat Guna Vipateh Ajo Dyatishthat khalu parameshtam padam jitatma shasana bhivandyam. Sunit continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air, prana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, what is Sunit is saying is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is so great that by simply worshipping his lotus feet, your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, yeah, because as we know, Dhruv Maharaj's father's name is, who is Dhruv Maharaj's
Uttanpad.
father? Uttanpad, yeah, we read about Uttanpad, and Uttanpad's father is
Swayambhuva.
Shwambhu Manu, yeah, and then Shwambhu Manu's father is
Brahmaji.
Lord Brahma, yeah. So Dhruv Maharaj, Uttanpad, Shwambhu Manu, and Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is great-grandfather. What is interesting to read is Suniti, mother of Dhruv Maharaj, says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, Lord Brahma acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Yeah, Paricharya Vishwa. Yeah, and then even though he is unborn, as we know, right? Lord Brahma is known as unborn. Why is he known as unborn? Like Ajay is unborn. Why is known as unborn? Do you know why Lord Brahma is known as Ajay?
Because he was born from the Navi of.
Right. So he was not born from the human or from like, right? He was born from the Nabi of, he appeared from the Nabi of Lord Vishnu, right? So he appeared. So that's why he's called unborn, Ajay. And he's of course the chief of all living creatures because he's the one who then created the universe. Yeah. And then of course, what Suniti is advising Dhruv Maharaj is to do the devotion to Supreme Personality, because whom even great yogis worship. How? By controlling the mind and regulating the life air, like the pran, and that's how they worship Lord Vishnu. Yeah. So I think we are going to pause here, and now we will read about Dhruv Maharaj, right? What he does and how everything happens. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? And from tomorrow. Yeah. So we'll see the darshan in Mayapur from this morning's Mangla Aarti for 5 minutes, and then we'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Hare Krishna. So this is directly live from Mayapur from this morning. Sure.
Shri Radhika Madhavayora Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Shri Radhika Madhavayora Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Pratikshana Swadana Lalupasha Bande Guru Shri Charana Ravinda Bande Guru Shri Charana Kunjayo no ratikeli siddhi Yayali virjuktirapekshaniya Tatradidaksha atiballabasha Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravinda Sakshat Haritena Samastra Shastre Yuktas
All right, so nice Mangla Darshan, right? Mangla Aarti Darshan of Sri Dham Mayapur. Yeah, they are building a whole big, new, huge temple in Mayapur actually. Very nice temple. Sometimes we'll see that. Yeah. So, we'll see you tomorrow at 10 p.m. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.